deviance. I got a ring to think then again. I'm such a winner, I'll win again. Some think I'm a Viking or maybe a wizard. I feel like I'm both when I'm in the ring. Victory brings serenity. I give them a 3-piece, that's for the 3P, and then I leave with the Trinity. True baller got all the amenities. All the others just wanna be mini-me's. Haters mad when they in my vicinity.
What's going on, everybody? Welcome to today's episode of the King Closers Formula on this beautiful Tuesday. It's starting to feel like fall. Here in DFW, we've been raining all day. Temperatures in the 70s. It's feeling like football season, baby. I love it. I love it. And so, with that being said, I'm in a spicy mood. Decided to come to you today to give you some brutally honest advice for virtual wholesalers. I've got a list. Let's see how many we got here. My list is, without me doing anything off the cuff, 15 different items on brutally honest advice for virtual wholesalers. Listen, some of this you guys are going to have heard me talk about previously. If you've watched more videos, some of it is going to be new. The reality of it is that we are trying to get across to you guys some of the core fundamentals that we have here at Titanium, things that we've learned through the years. Now, what gives us the authority to come to you with the things that we've learned? Well, I got a Facebook memory last week. 10 years ago from last week, we closed our first ever wholesale deal. 10 years of doing nothing but real estate investing. It's exciting. Cassie and I, we started our entrepreneur journey in 2010, found wholesaling in 2014. And you guys, I'm sure you've heard me tell the story, $65,000 in education. We basically just learned how to get deals off the MLS, dispo through Craigslist. Along the way, obviously, learn direct-to-seller marketing, learn how to comp and underwrite correctly, learn how to talk to sellers, all of the important things inside of a wholesaling business. And we've done a lot of things correctly. We've made mistakes along the way. And that brings me to point number one on today's brutally honest advice. This game is hard. Wholesaling is not as easy as people make it out to be. I think there's a misconception when people see, hey, you should get into wholesaling because it requires the least amount of capital and the least amount of education. Well, what are you comparing that to? Well, you're comparing that to actually owning assets and flipping those properties, which requires capital, which requires knowledge on actually fixing up a house. It requires taste, right? The ability to be able to improve a property aesthetically. It requires the ability to be able to manage contractors. And then when you're a landlord, if you've ever owned a rental property, that's hard. So when you say, hey, wholesaling is easy in comparison, well, it's what are you comparing it to? The facts are this is a very transactional business. And it requires consistent daily action to build up a sustainable business, to be able to exist as a wholesaling operation for a decade. It's not easy. Expecting it to be easy is a recipe for failure. And quite frankly, it's what leads to people giving up in this industry, where they're like, I thought wholesaling was going to be easy. Now, can you get to the point where it becomes easy? Absolutely. I think at some point in time around 2017, 2018, we had been in the business for 3 to 4 years. I think if you asked me and Cassie then, we would say, yeah, wholesaling had become easy. But I will say if you asked us midway through 2015, when we were 6-7 months in on this business, we still had a ton of questions about lead generation. We still had a ton of questions about underwriting deals and really actually understanding where do our end buyers buy. That's why we talk about that so much, because that was still a struggle for us early on. And Did we ever have thoughts about giving up? No, I don't think that ever crossed our mind. That being said, there were moments that we were scared that we were going to be able to generate enough cash flow to sustain ourselves, to sustain our lifestyle, to sustain the lead generation that was necessary. That's also just part of being an entrepreneur. So, number one thing to take away is as much as we talk about how you can simplify this business and make it easy, it's not easy, and don't go into it. Wholesaling is hard. I want you guys to understand that. And if you're just getting into it because you think it's going to be easy, you're probably setting yourself up for disappointment. All right. Number two, people regularly overthink what markets they should focus on. Now, when you talk about virtual wholesaling, I don't necessarily think that everyone watching this video should be a nationwide wholesaler. There's nothing wrong with just wholesaling in your backyard. There's nothing wrong with wholesaling in a specific county or just in the state that you live in. There's some states that, quite frankly, you should just be wholesaling just in that state. You should focus on it, right? We talk to people regularly out in Texas, Florida, Ohio, Georgia, and we tell them, listen, if you're not prepared yet to go nationwide, focus on your backyard, focus on that state. These are great markets. The reason why I think this is such a struggle for people is because they see someone like me 10 years in the game. We just now completed a deal in the 50th state. It took us a decade to get here. You don't have to immediately jump in on that. But I see people get stuck on this where they're like, what market should I be focused on? Well, every market does have the ability to be successful in it as a wholesaler. You could go into it, and if you're focused on lead generation, that consistent action, building relationships with those end buyers, you should be able to have success. Now, this is why we gave the titanium market breakdown, because there are levels to it, right? For example, West Virginia, it's easy to do acquisitions in West Virginia, but it's a struggle to do dispositions. The reverse of that would be a Nevada, a Utah, a California, where it's going to be a little bit more difficult to do acquisitions, but dispositions will be easy. Why? Because the buyers themselves are also struggling with acquisitions. So there's a give and take. That being said, this should not be something that you sit and you get stuck on. With the power of where we are with today's technology and the vendors that we have, where you can go out and you can essentially just buy leads, you can be testing out markets to see if that market resonates with you. Case in point, that 50th state for us was Utah. I know plenty of people that have made millions of dollars wholesaling in Utah. However, for whatever reason, the people in Utah did not like titanium and they don't like us. I'm somewhat joking, but we did struggle there. It took us some quite a bit of effort and a long time to do deals. Specifically, we didn't try to do a deal in Utah until 2020. So it took us 4 years to get a deal in Utah. Now, obviously, we weren't marketing there every single day during those 4 years, but there were leads that were trickling in throughout those 4 years. However, we were regularly in Ohio, Texas, Florida, Indiana, Missouri, racking up the deals. We were not stuck on this. So don't get stuck on what market should I be in. Test them out. See which ones you resonate with. And honestly, see which ones are easy for you to comp and underwrite. Because if you can do that, and if you're getting good deals, that's where you're going to be able to establish those relationships with your end buyers, and that'll make acquisitions a lot easier for you. That's where you'll see the success. All right. Number 4, okay? It is okay to make money in this business. And you're like, well, of course, okay? However, I have seen people that have somewhat of an ethics problem where it's like, am I making too much money on this? Or did I not do enough in this transaction to earn the assignment fee that I'm getting paid on this transaction. And I myself had these same concerns early on, specifically in the first 2 years of being a wholesaler, where we had some big rips. I mean, there was some six-figure rips. There was some $50,000, $60,000, $70,000 assignment fees. And I was concerned about, hey, are we crossing a line here? Or are we pressing for too much money? Here's what I want you to understand, okay? As a wholesaler, we are solving complex problems for our motivated sellers. A lot of times they're bringing us deals that no one else can really help them. They need to sell their property to an investor. Not every deal, okay? There's plenty of examples where it's like, hey, this could be listed on the MLS or it could go to a wholesaler. However, there's other ones where it's like there's dirty title issues. There's affidavit of heirships that need to be signed. The property is so physically distressed that the only buyer for this property is an investor, okay? Us getting that under contract and presenting that to our end buyers, that is a complex solution that we are bringing to the table. Now, on the flip side, our actual customers, per se, the end buyers, we're solving quite a bit of problems for them. We're bringing them deals, which is what they need. What did I just say about Utah, Nevada, California? Why are those states easy to do dispositions in? Because those end buyers are struggling on acquisitions themselves. They're not regularly seeing good deals. They're struggling with deal flow. They need more flips. They need more rentals. Acquisitions is just as difficult for them as it is for us as a wholesaler. So when you're providing them with deals, that is a complex solution that you're providing them, and you deserve to get paid well for that. So don't get lost in it. Don't feel bad when you're making good money. I give you permission. Feel good about the amount of money. Now, that being said, there's a line to cross. You should never make so much money that you are taking away where the deal is no longer profitable or at the level of profit that it should be for your end buyer. And also, I never want you just gouging motivated sellers in the eye, okay? Make it a win-win-win solution across the board. If you run your business that way, that's how you look back. You're in this business for 10 years, and you feel pretty good about what you've done, all right? So there's the top three. We're 12 minutes in. We've already busted out three. Let me look here real quick. We got some comments. Jesus said, hey, King Closer, would you mind doing some calls on Nurture Boost? I don't know what Nurture Boost is. So Jesus, unfortunately, we are pretty laser focused on what we do here. We have a saying, stop searching for unicorns, or don't search for unicorns. We don't need another lead generation source in our business. So I'm going to have to pass on that. Because we already are set up with Speed to Lead, Leadzolo, and Property Leads. Let's see. The CEO says, are you two related or dating? Hopefully not both. No judgment. Just honestly never heard what RJ and Cassie's relationship was. Don't mean to pry. Cassie and I are business partners, and we're best friends. We have been best friends for quite some time. I'll be honest with you, I don't necessarily love divulging all of my personal information out there. As transparent as we are, we do like to keep some things private. So let's see what else we got here. What's up, Titanium University family? Nurture Boost is pretty much Speed to Lead. Well, if it's pretty much Speed to Lead, then just use Speed to Lead. Let's see here. I can't afford a dialer. Can I use my phone? Absolutely. Use whatever you can use right now, as long as you're taking action, and then immediately once you have results, reinvest and better your systems. Look at my boys. Tyler Osborne, 3 signed contracts live today. Good job. How do I go about getting pictures on the property? 1, ask the seller for pictures. That's the easiest way. 2, if they cannot provide it, or if the tenant cannot provide pictures, you can have a known buyer in the area, kind of give them first right of refusal on the property to go out and take a look at it. And then if they don't want it, send you pictures. The other thing is you can hire a handyman in the area to go out and take pictures for you. Handymen are great to take pictures because they'll identify things that need to be done to the property in comparison to a photographer. And as well, they're normally will be cheaper than a photographer. The other thing is you can give them a checklist of everything that you would need. Normally, we just say every room from every different angle, and then all the major systems. Okay. Krishna, you clearly were not listening to my third brutally honest advice for virtual wholesalers. What's my favorite market? My favorite market is the one that I get my next deal in. Okay, I'm like Tom Brady with Super Bowl rings. Okay, I love the United States. It's where we've done all of our deals. And my favorite PPO, it's either Speed to Lead, Property Leads, or Lead Zolo, whichever one I get my next deal from. We use all three. They all three work. They all three are pretty similar price points. Realistically, you could just get it down to which one is the better price for you. Let's see here. Do you ever call family members or neighbors about owners if you can reach them? Nah, not really. I'll be honest with you. Normally, we just try to reach the owner and then move on. I can't think of a scenario in which the lead is so hot that I have to reach out to family members or neighbors. Well, you guys are coming with the questions. I love it, baby. We got to get to the show here in a little bit, but you guys keep coming with the questions. I'll keep answering them. Closing over text. Ask this in the private group today. Do you follow sellers' lead when they want to communicate exclusively over text or email? Come across this a decent amount. Mike, what I would say about this is have we closed deals over text? Of course. We used to do a ton of cold texting, okay? So we closed many over just text. When it comes to the lead source, if it's an inbound lead and then the seller mandates that we only communicate through text, that is somewhat of a red flag that maybe something is off where we can never get them on the phone. So what I would say is I'm okay with having the communication to a certain point. And then I would say, hey, in order for us to kind of commence the ceremonies here, we need to get on the phone. I need to make sure that I'm talking to the right person and we're on the same page. And if you've already done the negotiations and come to an agreement on price and all of that, there should be no issues. So that's kind of my feeling, Mike. It's okay to a certain point, but if it's an inbound lead, it's not just a cold outreach, then yeah, at some point in time, we need to get them on the phone. How do you go about estimating the rehab on a hoarder house? I got pictures, and it's kind of difficult to get an idea of the repairs actually needed. The seller's wife passed away, and she was a hoarder. One, I would estimate for a full-blown rehab. Not necessarily a gut, but almost gut scenario. And then also, Max, one thing to keep in mind there is who is going to be responsible for removing the belongings. Because if you or the end buyer is going to be responsible for that, that can be pretty costly. So keep that in mind. But I'd go pretty high on the price per square foot, depending on the market. I'm probably going to be looking $50, $60, $70 a square foot in rehab. Tyler was awesome in our Titanium U students closers. So actually, Todd Chun was the closer on that, Michael. Tyler was on there. He was silent during the whole thing. He looked sexy as hell, but he actually didn't close that one. Tyler doesn't know this yet. He's going to be this week's King Closer Reacts. What would you suggest on getting leads with no money? Krisha, I would say I have 2 videos that I've done, 2 live videos that you can go to my channel and you can search, watch me get a deal using $0. It's going to be a struggle, right? It's going to have to be some sort of FSBO strategy, getting a deal off the MLS, something along those lines. It's going to be difficult. It's going to be a slow, burdensome process because this business does take capital. That was number one. This game is hard. It requires capital. So let's move on to point number 4. Condense your sales process when possible. Okay. Now, you guys know I talk about the closer's formula. I'm not really talking about that. What I'm talking about is just the astronomical amount of time that is wasted specifically from newer wholesalers when it comes to the effort and the energy that they put into, I'm going to drive to the home. I'm going to drive to the property to take pictures. I must set an appointment and meet the seller belly to belly. There's so much room that is left open for the deal to fall apart during this. And this is where I'm very passionate about condensing that down. And the way that I've always said it is eliminating barriers to entry to getting the result that you want. Now, I'll try to say it a different way. Every step of the way that you elongate the process, you make the process longer than it necessarily needs to be, you're adding an opportunity for the deal to fall apart. Case in point, during one of the Titanium University implementation calls the other day, someone was on the implementation call. So they're on their Zoom with no camera on, and they're talking about they're sitting outside of a seller's home to do a property walkthrough. I'm like, oh, so you have the property under contract? No, this is an appointment to walk the property prior to me getting out of contract. Not what we teach at all. It's not what we do it here at Titanium. Well, guess what ended up happening? The seller never showed up. Something happened in the seller's life, so the property walkthrough didn't happen. Now, that wholesaler can never get that time back. You can never recuperate that time. It's gone. 30 minutes of property, 30 minutes wasted, 30 minutes back. That's an hour and a half that's gone if everything goes to plan on that time wasted. And you already spent time on the phone with this seller. You already came to an agreement on price. You just didn't contract it because that was something that you added to the process. Condense that down. Make your process more beneficial for you and stick to it. Have non-negotiables. Yes, will you miss out on deals because you do not go see properties until you have them under contract? Absolutely. You will miss out on that. But you will close more deals because of the time that you save yourself. That is a fact. We have tested it because we have done both ways. This is not like we're just making this up. Until COVID in 2020, we only did belly-to-belly appointments, really. Every single property we were going to see before we got our contract, and now we do it the complete opposite, and it is so much better. That's just one of the examples, okay? There's so many other ways that people elongate the sales process, not comping and underwriting while they're on the phone, making sure that they have multiple phone calls so they don't do a one-dial close. I don't quite frankly understand that one, but there's people out there that are promoting that, and they're doing it inside their business. You're just opening yourself up for wasted time, wasted energy, and lost deals. It's a fact. So condense down your sales process as much as possible. The fifth thing, speaking of condensing the sales process, focus hard on understanding where your end buyers buy. This should be one of, if not the most important thing for you to learn inside this business. Lead generation, talking to sellers, dispositions, all of that. Not nearly as important as understanding how to comp and underwrite your deals and understanding where your end buyers are going to buy and understanding why they are buying at that price point. Why is that important? Because you can leverage that knowledge and that wisdom to your acquisitions phase. Inside the closer's formula, when we're having that conversation, what's the most common bucket of seller that we talk to? Highly motivated, wrong price. Why is their price wrong? A lot of times because they're not educated on this. They just go look at something like Zillow's estimate, Realtor.com, Redfin, just something along those lines, and they think that's the number that they should get. However, how do we educate those sellers? Well, Zillow doesn't come and walk their property and find out if the property is a hoarder house, they don't know the condition of the interior. They have no idea what that property could be worth. That's just a simple algorithm that's telling them that in this neighborhood, this is what this size of house with this many bedrooms and bathrooms is selling for. So they don't know any better. They're listening to the internet. We need to be able to educate them. What's the best way to educate them? Speak from the wisdom and the knowledge that we get from our end buyers. Same thing that they tell you when you're trying to dispo them a property is the same thing that you should be telling the motivated seller when you're on the phone. Backing up your price with facts. This is why if you follow us and you follow our formula, you're never really price gouging a seller because you're backing it all up with facts. You're educating them with real numbers. It's math. It's not magic. You're backing that up with those facts and you're educating them. And because of that, now you're getting deals where actual end buyers buy and the sellers feel more comfortable working with you because you didn't play any mental mind games with them. You were honest and transparent about where your number comes from. There's not a video out there where I make an offer on a property, educate the seller on where I'm coming up with that number, and they say I'm lowballing them. However, there are videos of me explaining that I'm a real estate investor, and before I can even get into talking numbers with them, they are fearful of me lowballing them. Why? Because that is what we as real estate investors, that is the perception that we have given people. We can change that when we stand by our offers with education and with facts. So the most important thing that you can be focused on education-wise as an aspiring virtual wholesaler is comping and underwriting and understanding where your end buyers buy. All right, let's see. Max says, how many number of buyers in lead city is too little? 0. I mean, I'm joking there, but realistically, Max, I've always said this. You only need one buyer. I've never wholesaled a property to multiple people. I've only wholesaled it to one buyer, right? So if I have one, I'm good. That being said, there are definitely places in the country where it's like, hey, there are no buyers. I would say I'd like to know where you're pulling your buyers from. Like, is it Propstream? Is it Privy? Is it Investor Lift? Is it Deal Speed? I'd like to know that before I give you that answer because that's going to depend on the answer. All right. Let's move on to the next one. Oh, baby. All right, real quick. I'll answer Max and then I'll get to my next one of my favorite topics. Propstream number of buyers. I'd say on Propstream, man, if you're condensing it down to where it's like they bought 3 or more properties in the past 12 months, I'd probably want a minimum of like, I don't know, 25. You know, I mean, and this is like, that's a super rural market. But if you have that many people and you're seeing that much activity, that means 75 investment properties have been bought in the past 12 months. You've got their contact information. That's what I would be focused on. But again, there's a certain level of intuition that you need to have there, Max. I'd probably be looking at the activity. If you go watch my video that I did, how to find the best buyers last week, I show you on Privy how you can actually see the activity that's going on there. I used an example in Cahokia, Illinois, where there wasn't a ton of activity there, but we saw, like, in our tiny little neighborhood, there was, I believe, 6 properties that had been flipped. And because of that, we were able to identify 6 different buyers, and then we were able to sell it to one of those. Do I use PropWire? I do not. Is iSpeed Elite still one of your favorites? Absolutely. Is it an expensive market like New York fine to start? You clearly have not done deals in northern New York. Brother, Syracuse and Buffalo, and Rochester and places like that are extremely inexpensive. Now down in like New York City, I will say we have not done many deals. We've done a couple of deals in Brooklyn, but never like around New York City. I would say, yeah, there's a certain point where price point becomes important. We've never done deals in Los Angeles. We've never done deals in New York City. Those are the two most populated cities in the United States, and we haven't done deals there because of price point, and just quite frankly, it's easier to do deals in other places. So I wouldn't get hung up on trying to do deals in New York City, but New York State, yeah, we've done deals there. I would also say the problem with New York State more than anything is that it's a dual attorney state, and the attorneys there are just absolutely miserable to work with. Quite frankly, the worst people in all of real estate are the New York closing attorneys. I will probably stand by that forever. All right, number 6, ditch the script. Okay, so I talk about the formula all the time. You don't have to use the closer's formula if you don't want to. I don't know why you wouldn't use the closer's formula. You can download it for free right down there in the show notes, okay? You can watch all my videos where I use the closer's formula, where I talk about how to use the closer's formula. I prove that it works. But more importantly than just using the closer's formula is, do not sound robotic when you're on the phone with a seller. Have a real conversation with them. Get to the point where you are not having to like sit there and be nervous about what to say next to a motivated seller. Okay? Be empathetic about the situation that is going on here. We had a great post inside of Titanium University the other day. JW, love JW, one of my favorite members of Titanium University, came to the last closer's formula here in our office. He's implemented what we teach at Titanium University just amazingly. He was the original winner of the Titanium Hard Challenge, which we did for 30 days, certain point system, and he won. His post was him and his wife went to buy a new couch this weekend. And he's making a decision, a financial decision. And the way he put it is he put a price point. I'm not going to share the price point, but a couple $1,000s for a couch. Okay. And the way he's thinking about it is that this is also a decision that he's making for the next 5, 6, 7 years. This is where his ass is literally going to lay every single night while he's watching TV, right? So he's trying to make a decision on this. And everyone kept talking. His wife kept talking. The salesman kept talking. No one would shut up and just let him think. No one was being empathetic about the fact that he was probably at the point where he wanted to pull the trigger and say yes, but he just needed a moment. The salesman was not reading the room, where he's not seeing that JW needs that moment. Now, this is on a couple $1,000 transaction for the next 5 years for him to sit. Okay? Now, imagine that you're a motivated seller and you're thinking about selling an asset that maybe you're only going to sell 2 to 3 times in your lifetime, if you're lucky. A house. It's how many house real estate transactions the majority of people are going to do in their lifetime. And it's normally for a significant amount of money. Now, I get it. We have markets where we buy houses $5,000, $10,000, $15,000, but that still could be a lot of money to people. And we won't shut up. We make it about us. We feel like we have to follow this script because so-and-so said that it works on a YouTube video. This is why the formula is all about actively listening and asking good questions, and also finding out the art of how to shut up. Shut up. It's not about you. If you just need to sit there in silence for a minute to let that seller make a decision, to compose their thoughts, that could be the difference between them choosing to go with you and choosing to go with the guy that wouldn't shut up, kept asking questions, put them on hold to go talk to their fake finance manager, and then come back and try to force them to do a deal right then and there. Treat it with some empathy, ditch the script, actively listen, and just relax. Put yourself in the seller's shoes for a second and treat them with the same respect that you would want if you were going through the same type of transaction. All right. The next thing is embrace being you. Throughout your entire business, you are going to be so much more happy if you embrace who you are as a person and you say, hey, it's okay for my personality to exist during acquisitions and dispositions and building out these relationships. That is where you want your business to be. If you're always pretending to be somebody else, that's why you guys have seen me talk to sellers numerous times. I bring up things about my kids. I bring up things about playing Madden, NCAA, and golf, whatever it is that is important to me in my life at that point. And just like, it makes you more human to the other person on the other end of the line that you're doing business with. Whether it's on the dispo side, acquisition side, embrace being you. I tell everyone inside the university that has a heavy accent, you can either look at it as that is a problem or it's an advantage for you. That's who they are. I have an accent. Fortunately for me, this accent is regularly accepted here in the United States. If you have a Spanish accent, an Asian accent, a European accent, you can look at it and say this is a problem. However, we have people inside the university that crush it, and they have heavy accents. And they never once have come back and said this is a problem. Why? Because they embrace being themselves. It's okay. It's who they are. They're not trying to fake being someone else. Don't change your name. Say who you are. Talk the way that you talk. Talk about what you want to talk about. And let the person on the other end of the phone decide whether they want to do business with you or not. I'd much rather someone say they don't want to do business with me because I told them who I was than them choose to do business with me and I pretended to be somebody else. So embrace being you. All right, let's see here. Are most of your deals outside of Texas? No, Fred. In the history of titanium investments, 28% of our deals have been done in the state of Texas. Do you buy properties from other wholesalers? No, because my hedgehog concept is nationwide virtual wholesaling. So all I'm doing is wholesaling. We will JV with another wholesaler, but we're not currently buying properties. Do you only buy exclusive leads or have you closed deals on sale? We have closed hundreds of sale leads. I would almost say we've closed more sale leads than exclusive. Normally, I only buy exclusive when I'm using the marketplace on lives. But yeah, we do a ton of the coupon club leads. All right. Let's see. Number 8. I feel like I say this in every single video now. You guys are going to get tired of hearing me say it. But maybe not, because you'll start doing it. You have to commit to being consistent. You have to do it. Without being consistent, you're not going to get the results that you want. And you have to make a commitment to it. We have people that, they come in, they make a commitment for 90 days. They start seeing results, and we'll get into some of the stuff that they do here in a second when we get to some of our other points. But they'll make changes in their business, and then the results start to go down. And when we talk to them, it's like, hey, what happened here? And it's always going back to the consistency change. Consistent lead generation, consistently talking to motivated sellers, consistently getting properties under contract, and consistently doing dispositions. This has to be happening every single day in your business. If it's not, your business is failing. That's just a fact. But you, as the business owner, have to make a commitment to that consistency across the board. This is why I love doing things like I'm going to make a commitment to read this many books in a year. I'm going to make this commitment working out this many days a week. I'm going to make this commitment to playing this many rounds of golf this week. I make regular commitments to myself on like, hey, this many this week. One of the biggest commitments that I made this year was every single day a new video on YouTube. Why? Because I looked at it and I said, what is one of the things that I could do that can really change the wholesaling industry? Well, what I really want to do is I want to eliminate all excuses people could have to not succeed as a virtual wholesaler. Well, how can I do that? If I make a video every single day, we will literally cover every single topic in this industry. It's almost impossible not to. All right. So I made that commitment. Yesterday, inside of our free Facebook group, The Vault, someone commented and said, or posted in there and said, you've literally made every single video except for this one. Can you make this one? Absolutely. How did we get there? I made a commitment to consistency, and because of it, we're getting to the point where we could literally say, if you go watch these videos, you have no excuse not to succeed. The hip-hop analyst, there you go. You're correct about being yourself. This seller I've been following up for a year, won't sell to anyone else but me, and calls me anytime she gets another offer from someone else. And close that damn deal. I'm sure there's a reason. He says almost ready to close with her. Good stuff, man. How many screens do I have? I have four screens. I've got the two here and then the two up there. So it's like on a tree, and then my camera's right in the middle. And I've got a ring light right in my face all the time. Your room is looking like a vault. That was the goal. Love it. These videos help the fuck out with growing my business. Thanks, RG. You're welcome. Top notch. All right, let's go to the next one. What's the heartbeat of a wholesaling business? Acquisitions, right? That's why I always say it's my favorite topic, because it's the heartbeat of this business. When you start locking up deals, you cannot neglect acquisitions. This is like the number one thing inside of this business that I see people just they ride the roller coaster nonstop. Get properties under contract. Now I have to focus on transaction coordination, dispositions. So now I neglect acquisitions. So I close deals. I made money. What happens? The moment you make money, it starts going out the door. You know how to do acquisitions. Takes you 20 to 30 days from the moment that you sign a contract to get it closed and get more money. This is why you cannot neglect acquisitions once you start acquiring deals. As quickly as possible, you have to find a way for acquisitions to consistently being done inside of your business. At any point in time in our business, we always had people doing acquisitions for us. That was like January of 2015. So, right, we closed our first deal in August of 2014. I was the only person that did acquisitions and dispositions. August, September, October, November, December. We shut down our contracting business on January 1st, 2015. January 2015, we hired people to do acquisitions. It was, we're going to sit you down. We're okay that you're going to mess things up. You're not going to be perfect because we're not perfect at it. But at least we know we have somebody working on acquisitions when we're focused on something else going on inside of our business. If it was TC, if it was dispositions, whatever it was, at least we still had somebody working acquisitions. Do not neglect acquisitions, or otherwise you will always be riding the roller coaster. All right. Let's see here. Do you have a video that explains transaction coordination? Understanding and executing this is a weak point for me. We do. We have multiple videos that we've done with David Olds. You can check that out. And then also, let's get to our next point here because you just brought it up. Outsource TC to a reputable source as soon as possible. Okay? Why? Because Christine, quite frankly, you do not need to be a good transaction coordinator. Okay? And just being honest with you, Christine, you're probably not going to be a good transaction coordinator. These are the facts. I am not a good transaction coordinator. I do not pride myself on being a good transaction coordinator. I do not want to be a transaction coordinator. However, there are reputable transaction coordination companies out there that are good. I would recommend as quickly as possible you outsource that to someone else that knows what they're doing, that can handle that better than you can, so you can stay focused on what? Well, acquisitions, last point. And if you have a property that actually needs transaction coordination done, what does that mean you need to be doing as a wholesaler? You need to be doing dispositions. And when you're newer, dispositions is probably going to be a problem spot for you. So to me, outsourcing transaction coordination as soon as possible is the best way to do it. Now, I will also say we have had a transaction coordinator in-house for years. Keaton has gotten better over the years of being a transaction coordinator. There are things that he does on the transaction coordination side that, quite frankly, I don't even want to know how to do. That's his job. Now, Cassie is really good at transaction coordination. She understands that side of the business better than I do. That's why she does the majority of those videos. But I would say outsourcing it early on, letting someone that has dedicated their career to being a great transaction coordinator is important because you can learn from them. And then if you want to bring it in-house, you can bring it in-house. All right. The next thing is keep this business as simple as possible. You're like, well, it's already a pretty simple business, right? It is until you get in the way. We see it all the time. People struggling to lock up deals via cash, whether it's because they lack on the closer side, right? They lack on how to educate sellers. They lack on comping and underwriting. And instead of developing those skill sets and getting better, they start making panic decisions where they start locking up sub-twos. They lock up seller finance. They decide to start doing novations. So is your business that you do novations, or is your business that you do wholesaling? Is your business that you're buying property subject to keep as rentals or pad splits or Airbnbs or do flips, or is it that you're wholesaling? Seller finance, same thing. Now, some of these items you can wholesale. The other thing is there's knowledge and experience that comes along with that, and there's a liability side to assigning sub-twos in seller finance and navigating those conversations and making sure that it's done transparently. To me, it's more important, it's better long-term for your business to keep it simple. Don't overcomplicate it. Develop the skill sets that are needed to be able to lock up a deal cash and assign it and move on to the next one. When you start overcomplicating it with all of the creative strategies that exist, this is where we see people run into massive issues. Where it's like, how many cash deals have you done? 2. How many properties do you have under contract right now? 3. Sub-twos. You've done 2 cash deals and you have 3 properties under contract sub-2 right now. That to me is a mistake. Unless that is just what you are going to do moving forward as your headshot concept. But I will say, every time I've asked someone about their headshot concept, they've never actually brought up solely focusing on creative deals. They've only done creative deals because they lack the skill sets to do what was actually their headshot concept. Do I do a memorandum and notice of purchase contract? I do not, for many different reasons. One of which being you don't have to do a memorandum unless you're just afraid that someone is going to circumvent you on the deal. And then also, if you're filing memorandums on all of your properties, if this were ever to be investigated, okay, you have to actually be able to prove that you had the intent to close on the deal and you had the ability to close on all the deals that you had under contract at that moment. So at any point in time, I would have to prove that I had the ability and the intent to close on 30, 40, 50 properties all across the United States, which absolutely is not my intent. My intent is to wholesale those properties. I have so many videos on the internet saying that my hedgehog concept is nationwide virtual wholesaler. They would know I'm lying. So no, we do not do that. I do not believe in doing that. I do not teach that. I actually think it is one of our biggest issues as wholesalers is that people do teach that and do that. It's a misuse of the tool, is my opinion. How big is my team now compared to your first few years? It's about the same size. At one point in time when we were doing a lot of flips and owned a lot of rentals and we had, properties all across the country, we actually grew to 74 people. It was literally one of the most miserable times in my life. I hated it. Payroll was astronomical and we were just failing across the board. As of right now, inside just Titanium Investments, not including Titanium University, it's me and Cassie, okay, my partner. And then we've got Justin, Garrett, and AJ. They do acquisitions and dispositions. And then we've got Keaton, our transaction coordinator. And then we've got Kristen, who is our bookkeeper. Jess, who is Cassie's executive assistant. And then we've got 4 VAs. All right, let's move on. The next thing is talking about keep it simple as possible. And I said, in order to keep it simple as possible, what do you need? You need to embrace learning the skills that are needed inside this business. And this is one of those things that when we talk about learning the skills that are needed, people want to fast forward through this process. It's really crazy that you could become a great wholesaler and you can make more money than a doctor does. But people are completely okay with doctors going to school for 8 to 10 years to make the money that they make because they make life-changing decisions, right? They control people's lives with the work that they do. However, people don't want to dedicate 8 weeks to educating themselves as a wholesaler. Quite frankly, I believe I've seen where people haven't dedicated 8 hours to learning how to be a wholesaler. Take the time, educate yourself. There is plenty of education out there for free. In fact, what I will tell you, Titanium University, our quote-unquote education program, is not about education. All of the education we give away for free. Titanium University is solely about implementing that education. The education exists all over YouTube. If you want to learn how to be a wholesaler, go watch all my videos. The education is there, but educate yourself where you develop those skill sets and then apply those skill sets on a daily basis. If you're not educating yourself and you're not working to get better as a wholesaler, you're failing yourself. Next thing is, as I have been a little bit serious, have fun. This is an amazing opportunity that exists. And quite frankly, with everything that's going on inside this industry, we don't know how long what it looks like today is going to exist. But have fun with it. It's amazing what we're able to do for different people, whether it be buyers or sellers. It's amazing how much money we can make flipping paper. This is an amazing opportunity. Have fun with it. Play games. I'm going to go get a deal today in Georgia. I'm going to go get a deal today in Alaska. We do that all the time here. It's amazing the opportunity that we have to help these sellers and to bring great deals to our end buyers. So have fun with it. The next thing is join groups. Make sure that you are connected with other people that are doing the same thing that you're doing. Because I'm going to be honest with you. One of the biggest issues that me and Cassie had when we got started in wholesaling was everyone in our lives had no idea what we were talking about. Everyone in our lives told us that it was illegal. You can't do that. You have to be licensed. That's stealing people's houses. You can't just sell a contract. Be around people that understand what is happening. Network with them. Build relationships. Doesn't have to be a paid community. Hell, just join our Facebook group, The Vault. It's free. There's people in there posting 2-3 times a day, asking questions, and people that not just me and Cassie answering, but other people inside of the Facebook group are answering. Building relationships, deciding to do live seller calls with each other, rooting and supporting for each other. That right there makes a huge difference over the course of time if you have people in your corner that are supporting you in your journey and what you're doing. So join some sort of group. Go to your local networking groups, local RIAs. One of the things that I remember back in, well, I guess it was 18 through early 2020, Propelio, a software that we used to use based here out of DFW. They used to have the Propelio event like once a month at the Palace in Grapevine. And it was amazing. Some of the best relationships that I've had in this industry came from us attending those events and meeting those people face to face and having a drink with them, sitting down and just talking about the struggles and the wins and what's working and what's not working in our business. You can't do that if you're not connected to people doing the exact same thing as you. So get connected in a group, go to your local RIAs, and build relationships with people that are wholesaling just like you. Last thing. This is not a sales pitch on Titanium University, but I have to say, nothing is better than being in a group where everyone paid to be there. I'm a part of multiple different masterminds. Family Mastermind is one. It's run by Matt Andrews. It's amazing because we all pay to be a part of that group. And when we go, we have invested to be there. So we're all making sure that we get a return on that. Okay. And how do we get a return from being a part of that? It's by helping each other. And so from that, we build reciprocal relationships that make each of our businesses better. Okay. Same thing inside of Titanium University. We've now seen it. I talked about it during this weekend's King Closer Reacts. We had Brandon Clark, we had Tyler Osborne, and we had Todd Chun on a live calling sellers together. Well, those three individuals wouldn't have known each other if it wasn't for Titanium University. Now they're literally building content, calling sellers, doing deals together, and uplifting each other. Why are they willing to do that with each other? Because they know where they've come from. They know like the morals that they have as a business owner. They know the foundation that they have because they come from Titanium, and they want to support each other. They're on there rocking the Titanium gear, supporting each other and closing deals. So if you join a group, that's great. You go to a local RIA, that's great. To take it to another level, be a part of something where you're actually investing in yourself. When you invest in yourself, it goes to a whole nother level of the relationships that are built there, and you will look at it differently. You will look at it and say, I've invested in myself for this. I have to get a return. Selfishly, I hope you made the decision that that's Titanium University, which, by the way, 5th class is open. We're almost sold out. I think we're down to like 8 spots left. I can hear Garrett on a call right there talking to someone right now about joining. But listen, when it comes to this business, to recap some of the things that we talked about, there's a pretty consistent theme here. 1, consistency. 2, understanding what you're getting yourself into. Okay? Understand that you are getting into a transactional business. That is hard. It's going to take consistent work, and it's going to take time to develop skill sets to get good at this. The misnomer is that, hey, I become a wholesaler because it's easy, it's quick cash. Are there stories about people that do that? Absolutely. But it's not the norm. Be consistent with developing the skills, be consistent with your actions, and that's where you'll see the results that you need. What time do we start calling? 9 a.m. Central. We don't call anyone before 9 a.m. So if we start at 9 a.m. Central, that's 10 a.m. Eastern. So we're good all the way. We don't call any Mountain Standard Time or Pacific Standard Time until it's 9 a.m. there. Let's see. Wayne says, I was using a lengthy script from one of the top guys for a month, and it's so douchey. It is totally against my personality. Honestly, I fucking felt like a fraud. I found it was pissing people off. I'm happy I found someone that doesn't bullshit people. Thanks for resisting, brother. You're welcome, Wayne. Thanks for the comment. And quite frankly, that's been my whole point about all of that. When it comes to the scripts, when it comes to talking to sellers, like you just have to get to a place where wholesaling is what you do. And you know how to do it. And you know how to talk to a seller. And if you don't know what to say, it's okay to exist in silence for a little bit until you know the right thing to say. And for me, I've always just looked at it as like I played sports my whole life. One of the things I hated more than anything is when a coach would tell me I had to do something. Like, this is the play that we're going to run, and you have to do this. So I get that on offense. I was a big defense guy, middle linebacker. And there was times where it's like the play was called, but then I'm the player. I'm seeing what's happened. You have to trust me to play the game, to make that decision in the moment. And we live with the repercussions if it doesn't work out. And we reap the rewards because I'm a good player when I make the right decision. That's how I view this. We always look back. We go back. We do seller call reviews. We make sure that when we do make mistakes, we're learning from those. And we don't repeat those same mistakes. But there has to be some sort of fluidity and intuition when it comes to talking to sellers. And that's what we've built our entire organization off of. It wasn't always that way because it's not taught a lot about it in this industry. Quite honestly, it's the opposite, where we're told you can't build a team that way. You can't have long-term success that way. Titanium University is breaking that thought, that rumor. We're seeing people like Tyler and Brandon and Todd, not only in their business, but now creating content, having that fluidity inside of their talking to sellers, that decision-making process, being able to sit there in the pocket and make the right decision without having to follow a script by actively listening and asking good questions. Max says, I honestly don't know why this channel isn't bigger. So many large wholesale channels, but for whatever reason, they don't have any videos actually closing deals. Well, Max, I'll be honest with you. The reason why the channel is not bigger, we've had massive growth. In fact, Max, if you go compare my channel to other large wholesale channels, we get a lot more views than they do. They just have more subscribers. Well, one of the things that you can do when you have a YouTube channel is you can buy subscribers, okay? So with a swipe of a card, you can make yourself look bigger, but it's a lot more expensive to buy views, right? Because you have to run ads or you run the risk of your channel being shut down. So, Max, I'll share something just because you brought it up, and we're wrapping up for the day. I love sharing stuff like this because you brought it up, and you guys might get a laugh out of it, but I have this software that I pay for. It's called vidIQ, and you can type in your competitors, and you can actually see how many views your competitors are getting. So let me get this pulled up here. So when we talk about the large wholesale channels out there, we'll get rid of me altogether. Hold on. I'll figure out how to do this in a second. So we got my channel here. I got 21,000 subscribers, but I get 6,600 views a day. Okay. Clever Investor has 89,000 subscribers. He gets 1,300 views a day. Max Maxwell, 335 subscribers. He gets 1,700 views. Brent Daniels gets 2,400. Steve Train gets 453. Eric Klein, 1,900. Jamil, 1,700. Zach Ginn, 3,000. First people to beat me, all friends of mine, Ryan Beneda, Pace Morby, and Jerry Norton. So how many do I get? I get 6,600. So with 505,000 subscribers, Jerry gets not even twice as much as I have with 20,000. 380,000 subscribers, Pineda gets 13,000. Pace with 308,000, he gets 18,000 views. King Kong has 446,000 subscribers. He gets 3,700 views. Flip with Rick has 120, so 100,000 more subscribers, and he gets 100 less views than me a day. 408,000, 1,300, 755, 239, 701. So when we talk about bigger YouTube channels, I only care about if people are watching. If you click a subscribe button and never watch, who cares? So at the end of the day, all I'm saying is we have not ever bought subscribers. We're not ever going to buy subscribers. And more people are watching our stuff than the majority of the competition out there. The only three people in this industry that I really care about is Pace Morby, Ryan Beneda, and Jerry Norton. And quite frankly, I have a ton of respect for all three of those. They've done a great job of building up their following. And they have a massive following that they've grown. And they're not that far in front of us with the amount of views on a daily basis. With the amount of subscribers that they have, I would rather have my subscriber to view ratio than theirs. So I'm happy where I'm sitting in the competition of YouTube channel analytics there. So that being said, that was my rant on that, Max. I appreciate you bringing that up. I love sharing that right there. I'm proud of that, baby. We've been working our ass off for that. It's not just me. It's my entire team helps come up with these types of videos and content. I loved you guys' engagement today. Y'all's questions were amazing. Again, last thing before we head out of here, need you guys, if you are interested, I need you to do me a favor. I need you to go to titaniumvault.com. We got the Fab 5 class coming in honor of the University of Michigan. We got Cassie and we got Sima, who are big Michigan fans. Go to titaniumvault.com. Come down here. We got 9 spots left. Click on that. Book your call with the team. Once you get in there, don't miss out on it. It's the best community out there, just like this is the best YouTube channel out there. And that being said, this might be the only time that I go live this week based off of the content schedule. So even though we are honoring the University of Michigan for Cassie and Sima, it is a battle this week as my Texas Longhorns go into their little house and whip the ever-loving shit out of them this Saturday, because everyone thinks that Michigan is the reigning national champion, but by God, whew, they look like a hot, steamy pile of dog shit this weekend as they barely beat Fresno State. We also played a Mountain West team, okay? Colorado State. They barely saw the 50-yard line. So when we go into the little house this week, let me tell you, there's going to be a lot of maize and blue at the beginning. 100,000 of them. But come late in the fourth quarter, baby, that little house is going to be empty. And there's going to be a section of nothing but burnt orange singing the Eyes of Texas as we dance on that freaking maize M right on the 50-yard line. So enjoy, baby. 11 a.m. Saturday. Longhorns going to whip the shit out of Michigan. That's my end of my rant. Hope y'all enjoyed today's live. Give me a like. Give me a content. Let me know what you like the most. See you guys.